the impact that hockey has had on my life, honestly. Like I have so many great friendships from the sport itself, and not because of what we did on the ice, but all the time that you spent off the ice together.
Hello and welcome back to Rinkside Rundown, the podcast that brings you inside the world of women's hockey, one story at a time. I'm your host, Chris Sinclair, and today's guest is someone who's worn the C at every level of the game. Kendall Cooper is a defender who brings leadership, consistency, and a high hockey IQ to the ice. From captaining Team Canada's U18 squad to leading Quinnipiac in her final season, she's built a reputation as someone who teammates can trust and coaches can rely on. Kendall, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing pretty well. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you so much for doing this, for taking time out of your busy off season. So, as you've been asked 1,000 times, I'm certain at this point, I want to know from you, how did you get into hockey? What started that passion for this sport that's led you to this point in your career?
Yeah, so I have an older brother. He's 3 years older than me. His name's Cole, and he began playing hockey when he was young. And then, watching him on the ice, then I decided that's what I wanted to do. So it was about, I was 4 when I started skating, but 5 when I started, doing Timbits. And yeah, I just sort of got into it from there. It wasn't the easiest journey, I guess, beginning. I mean, like any kid, like they're not great when they start skating. It's kind of hard, but I wanted to be just like my brother right away, so I would get really frustrated when I first started skating. But yeah, it took some time and then I just kept up with it and now we're here.
And I love that you brought that up because that was a question that I wanted to know more about, was whether or not, because for some people it's like you hit the ice and it just felt right. And then other people, it's like, I hit the ice and the last thing I wanted to do was get back out on the ice. I was so discouraged early on. Were there ever doubts in your mind where you were like, you know what? I don't want to do this. Or were you just super driven by the fact that you wanted to be like your brother?
I think it was a little bit of both. And I think the drive for me to want to be just like him was also what made it so hard for me to start playing hockey because I saw him skating and I was like, oh, I can do that. Like, that's easy. But obviously, skating is not easy when you first begin. And so I was like so frustrated when I first started. And yeah, it takes practice like any sport does. But yeah, and then once I started, getting more into it, and then that's when my drive really took off, and I just continued playing. And my dad actually built a backyard ring for us, so that we spend a lot of hours out there, my brother and I, just skating and shooting and messing around. And I think honestly, that's where I really, started to grow my skills for the game.
Spoken like a true Canadian. Good old ODR. I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. And Timbits hockey. That's great. When you look back, especially those early days, you've mentioned how important your brother was in really inspiring you to get out on the ice and for better or for worse, to drive you to continue getting out onto the ice. Um, who were some of the other role models, some of those other influences that you felt like you could draw upon or look towards or look to, who inspired you to continue on this journey? Again, especially early on in your journey.
Yeah, I think obviously my family, my parents didn't actually play hockey growing up, but I guess, you could say that they're not students of the game, but we love watching hockey now. So they obviously were big role models for me. But also my brother played with a lot of great players, and obviously I watched a lot of his games. And one of them he actually played with was Emma Maltese, who's now on Toronto. So I just remember watching her play with all the boys, and it was just like really cool to see her. Um, And yeah, she was a big motivator for me, and, yeah, so I would say she was, and then obviously I've been to many hockey camps growing up, and, Becky Keller was one that I went to her camp, and so she kind of was a big influence on me, and then some of my favorite NHL players. I loved the Detroit Red Wings growing up, so Nicholas Lindstrom, he was a defense very good player. So yeah, there was a lot of different role models and people who influenced me growing up to get to where I am now.
And, not to jump too far ahead, but I'm going to. Um, when you think now too, like having those role models to look up to, like let's take Emma Malte as an example. When you think about her journey, and now her being able to play professional hockey, how much more of a maybe a motivating factor or an inspiration or a drive or a fuel does that add to your own journey, especially as you're ready to embark on your own professional
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's everything, honestly. I think the whole the PWHL, it's such a cool thing because, when younger girls can see it, then they can believe it, right? So I think, obviously, like, watching her grow, she's from Burlington, just like me, and we trained a little bit at the same gym together. So just kind of seeing how she has navigated her whole hockey career get where she is now, it makes it seem like it's possible for a lot of us and a lot of the younger girls.
How did growing up in the Burlington area, GTA, how did that really, and it being such a hockey rich environment, really inspire and fuel your own journey in hockey?
Yeah, so I was grateful enough to play hockey from a young age, and I think, being sort of surrounded by a lot of hockey teams and, there's rinks all over the city, and, I think the competition obviously is there, so that has definitely fueled, my drive to succeed, and, I see behind you a Topco junior jersey, so they were one of our rivals growing up when I played Stony Creek in the girls. But yeah, so I think there's so many players and so many great players in that area. So it definitely like goes to show how much hockey has been growing and it'll continue to grow too.
We've mentioned Stony Creek. Um, that includes the first opportunity that you've had, which is in terms of becoming a leader as well with that program. A through line throughout your journey, as I mentioned off the top, being a leader at every level. What was that experience like for you being a part of the Stony Creek program, both on and off the ice?
I think it was great. I mean, it was so fun. First of all, we had a lot of great teams in my 4 years, um, and yeah, I think the way that they do things there. I mean, I'm sure a lot of other programs now, have off ice training together and different things like that. But I remember, spending so many hours at the rink there. But I love to do it and be with all the girls and stuff. But I think on the ice too, I mean, I had a lot of great coaches, and the way that they, treat us, they didn't really treat us like kids, honestly. Like they had high expectations for us, and I think that's because Stony Creek was always a great program, a successful program, and continues to be so because of the way that people, conduct themselves there.
How important was that for you then? Especially, it was, obviously it's important to have fun, but it's also great to be treated, and like you said, it's something that a lot of other organizations are pulling, which is the importance of treating you like a pro and treating this like a professional league. How important was that for you early on in your career?
Yeah, I think it was really important, and I think it kind of helped, myself develop a lot of my leadership skills because the coaches that I had trusted us and trusted me to, you kind of have to lead yourself in the sense, and then also you can help lead others and lead the team. But I think, yeah, it was really important, and maybe I didn't understand it at the time, but I think, obviously we had a lot of skill, but we also were given kind of a lot of leadway in terms of like, just showcasing our creativity and trying to work things out on our own. And yeah, looking back on it, it definitely helped.
And, speaking more specifically about your time as a leader, and you spoke a little bit to it there, but I want to expand on it a little bit more as well, just around what it felt like for you to be a leader, and especially at such a young age, and how important that was stepping into a leadership role was for you on the ice, off the ice at that age, and how it sets you up for your continued leadership roles moving forward in your journey.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. When I became the captain in my senior year, I guess, for Stony Creek, it was a team. There was four returners, so we had, I think, it must have been 13 new players. So it was a bit of a daunting task, I guess you could say. Obviously, Stony Creek, we are successful. Kind of that added expectation. I've always kind of viewed myself as a leader by example, so on the ice, just kind of doing the right thing, but I really had to, you know, grow my skills, and develop my skills off the ice, and I mean, I was definitely nervous about the whole new team, but it turned out to be this really, powerful experience for me, and I learned so much during that year, and unfortunately, it was cut short because of COVID, but, just kind of our whole season, we had a lot of ups and downs, but in the end, we were doing pretty well, and so I think it definitely that experience has, really shaped me into the leader that I am now today.
And when we look at the next chapter of your incredible journey, part of that is also it includes your time playing and representing your country. What did it mean, and what did it feel like to put on the Canadian colors and wear that maple leaf, look down and see that maple leaf on your jersey? What did that mean to you, and how did that feel, especially the first time you had that opportunity?
Yeah, it was incredible. I remember going to my first camp and I was terrified the entire time, and I think I was so nervous because I wanted to make the team so badly, and yeah, when I got to put the jersey on for the first time and send a picture to my family group chat. And yeah, it was really cool feeling. Have a painting of in my room of myself when I was like younger. My parents got it for me maybe when I was 7 or 8, and it was me wearing the maple leaf, and just to kind of have that actually, be a real thing, it was incredible.
Also thinking about the legacy that is that jersey, and the players before you, and now the players after you that have also worn that jersey. What does that mean to you as well?
Yeah, I think it's kind of hard to describe. When I first put on that jersey, and I did think about all these players that I saw, growing up when I watched the Olympics and everything, and I almost didn't think that I was like good enough to wear the jersey. I don't know, like it's something that you don't really like think that you could actually, you know, achieve, and then when you do, it's really surreal, but, yeah, there's so many great players that have worn the jersey, and just to, be able to put it on and kind of not have my name with them because they've maybe achieved a lot higher things than I have, but, um, yeah, just it was such a cool experience for sure.
Well, and when we think of the list of players who have worn that jersey, that list is even shorter when you consider the players who have had the opportunity to have the C sewn on that jersey. What did that mean to you to also have the opportunity to be a leader on that team?
Yeah, it was incredible. I think obviously, you know, going through the World Championship experience the year before and winning the gold medal and then the following year, being named captain, it was really cool. I definitely felt a lot of pressure, but at the same time, I had two great assistant captains with me, Nicole Gosling and Ann Czerkowski, who are both close friends of mine. They play at Clarkson, obviously. A lot of people know them, but to have them obviously lead alongside me, it helped, kind of calm my nerves and yeah, it was definitely a lot of mixed emotions and obviously the outcome we wished we could have got gold, uh but just an incredible experience and something that, has just helped shape me into the person I am today.
This episode is brought to you by MB Performance Nutrition, fueling the next generation of hockey players. Whether your athlete is just starting out or chasing next level performance, MB Performance Nutrition has free resources to help, like a meal timing guide and protein powder buying checklist. Founded by Melissa Bufunos, a certified holistic nutritionist and former elite hockey player, MB Performance Nutrition also offers one-on-one coaching, team workshops, and more. Learn more at melissabufunos.com. That's MELISSABOUFOUNOS.com. When you think about as well, like this is another step in your career in which you've become a leader and you have to take that step forward. Every time you take that step forward, you develop your skills, both I think certainly on the ice, but away from the ice as well. How have these opportunities early in your career, whether it be with Stony Creek, whether it be with Team Canada, but being a leader, how have those shaped you as a person? How have they helped you to grow and develop as a person as well?
I think it's just all the different people that I have met and that I have, played alongside. I think, playing for Canada and in those short-term competitions where you have a team that comes together, but we're all from, I mean, there's a lot of Ontario girls, but even then we don't all play on the same team. And then, yeah, people from Quebec, Alberta, BC. So I think kind of being able to understand people and connect with them in such a short amount of time has definitely helped me because, everybody's different and people have different, communication styles and the way that they receive feedback and, just a lot of different things that I didn't really understand maybe when I was younger, but then, through Stony Creek and then in these short-term competitions where it is so important for teams to come together. I think that was huge for me, and that's something that I've kind of taken with me this past season when I was captain of Quinnipiac.
We're going to get into your time at Quinnipiac in just a moment, and how important that time was, especially being a part of once again an incredible program there. But I do also want to touch on the fact that you were recently awarded the Wayne Dean Sportsmanship Award, and that's given to student athletes, male or female, who demonstrate the highest level of integrity and sportsmanship. What did it mean to you to get that to receive that award?
Yeah, it was incredible. I was not expecting it at all, and I think that's because there's so many great players and people in the ECAC, the conference that Quinnipiac plays in. So I was a little surprised. But I mean, I'm so honored and so grateful to be, awarded with that award. I mean, I never got to meet Wayne Dean, but I've only heard incredible things about him. So just to kind of be you know, given an award named after him is incredible.
Okay, so let's talk about your time at Quinnipiac. Um, Natural starting point would be Why Quinnipiac? What made Quinnipiac the right decision for you as you were looking to continue to pursue your hockey career?
Yeah, I think it was a mix of both the school and also hockey. I wanted a smaller school, and I love Quinnipiac because, the class sizes, like 15 kids, so you actually get to meet the professor and kind of build a relationship with them. I've had a few professors that have come to many of our games, so that's really cool. I loved that point of it, and then also just the hockey itself. I mean, the rink, the facility is incredible. We share with the men obviously, but it's such a great place to play. And I don't know if you've been to Quinnipiac, but the drive up the hill, so you're kind of on the top. I don't know, it's just like a cool atmosphere to be in, and Connecticut obviously is a beautiful state. Um, so yeah, it was a lot of different things, but I just found that Quinnipiac was the right fit for me.
And how did you find that transition to your collegiate life?
Yeah, it was a little strange because I went to school when COVID was still kind of at the highest level, I guess. So it was really weird because I went from being at home in like quarantine basically to then going to Connecticut and being at school, but then we also weren't allowed to really socialize with anybody else outside of our hockey team. So that it was really strange. Like my classes were all on Zoom, so I never went to class like physically. So that was weird. I actually was in quarantine for like about a month because I ended up never getting COVID, but I kept getting exposed to it. So it was a whole thing. So I was like practicing in like this little cohort with like three other girls for a while. Um, so the transition itself was really strange. But then um my second year and my third year, that's when it became a lot more normal. And yeah, I found that balancing academics with hockey, it wasn't as challenging as I thought it would be just because I feel like growing up, my parents always, told me that like school was the most important, like school came before hockey. So that's always been kind of a thing to me. And I think that's how I manage a lot of, my work and kind of scheduling out my day. So that actually helped make more time for socializing, I guess.
What were some of your fondest memories of your time at Quinnipiac, and how do you find or how do you feel your time at Quinnipiac really developed you and really helped you to become the player, certainly the hockey player that you are, but also the person that you have become?
Mhm. Yeah, so the first part of that, my fondest memories, I will say again, just always going to the rink and hanging out with all the girls. And, you know, we've had a lot of great teams in my 5 years, but um, I will say one of my favorite, actually, I'll give you two. The first one was when we beat Wisconsin. They came to play us. I think maybe it was my junior year, and we lost the first game 3-0, but then the second game we ended up beating them 3-0, which was incredible for us. Like it was so cool. I didn't think we could actually do that. And so that was awesome. And then my second one was playing at Fenway. Playing on the outdoor rink at Fenway was incredible. Like the whole just the whole weekend of it. I mean, it was an actual like conference game for us against Harvard, so we did like we were focused on winning. But I think, just being outside in a ballpark that's famous, just like Fenway is. And then, we wore like baseball uniforms walking in, and just everything. It was such a cool experience. So that was fun. And then the second part of that question, I mean, as a player, I think it was, yeah, it was amazing. I developed so much over my 5 years, and Um, I think that's just a testament to the coaches that we have at school. They truly want the best for you, and they are so, you know, passionate about developing you as a player and a person. But, Brent Hill, he's one of our assistant coaches, and so knowledgeable, and he spends hours every morning doing morning skills with all the girls and never a complaint. It's just like it's really cool to see all of them put as much time as they do into, helping us be the player that we want to be. And then, as a person, I think each year I've kind of grown, more and more, and then obviously this year was huge for me. Um, you know, I'll touch on being a leader again, is that we had a pretty new team. We had 14 new players, and for university, it's a lot in one season. So it was definitely challenging, and it's funny because I think back to Stony Creek when it was kind of the same situation. We had 13 new players, and so that kind of gave me comfort in knowing that I've already sort of done it before, and it's all been incredible and something that I definitely am still reflecting on as I kind of finish out my last week here.
Talking now about the PWHL draft. How are you feeling? How exciting is it to be in this moment now where you've declared for the draft in a professional league that 2.5, 3 years ago wasn't going to be an option for you? What does this moment mean to you?
Yeah, I think it's really cool. Yeah, I'd never thought that this would be something that could happen, and I'm just I'm really happy that, the people that are playing in the league right now actually do have this opportunity because, for a lot of them, they worked years and years just to have this opportunity, and, um, you know, it it's just going incredible. I mean, you can see all the people now that are so invested in it and love to watch it. We've always known that women's hockey is incredible to watch. We see it at the Olympics, but kinda to have it on display in North America and, the best players playing, I think it's cool, and yeah, to if I'm able to be a part of the league, I think it would be incredible and just something that would kind of, you know, be a great reflection of just all my hard work over the years.
And are there any players that you're looking forward to playing with, maybe against, as you look at this, again, this super exciting next chapter of your career?
Just even if I'm able to share the ice with, some of the greatest players in the world like Poulin, and I'm a huge Renata Fast fan. I love watching her play, especially as a defense. So, um, just if I'm able to share the ice with them, that would be incredible. But I don't know if I'm actually excited to play against them, considering
Exciting
that
to
they're
play
so
with them,
good.
maybe more so than against them, of course. Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
When you think about yourself now in that role model space, right? What does it mean to you knowing that now there are young girls who are growing up saying to themselves and saying to their parents, saying to their coaches, I want to be just like Kendall Cooper? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, I think that's something a little hard to wrap my mind around, honestly. And it's something that I never thought that hockey kind of it would have that impact. You see it all the time in the men's game, but as you said, but yeah, it would be really cool, and hopefully there's a lot of girls out there that can see the PWHL, and I mean, they obviously do, and just, hopefully that they understand that hockey maybe is hard at the beginning, skating is hard, but, like anything, it just takes time and practice, and hopefully they can, use that motivation, and get there one day too.
Well, and just like you pointed out, you were from the early days, you said to yourself you wanted to do this, and that was despite the fact that it was a struggle to get the feet working as you were trying to learn how to skate. But look at you now; you've had the opportunity to have an incredible career with Stony Creek, becoming a leader there, became a leader with Team Canada, became a leader in your collegiate career with Quinnipiac. And so, again, now that there are people just like yourself out there who are defining this league, you are helping now to inspire the next generation. So it's just an incredible, just again, when you can see it, you can be it. Before we wrap up this conversation, though, as we always do on this show, we end things with a rapid fire question segment of the show. Are you ready
Okay,
to take this test?
I'm ready.
Perfect. Okay. What is your go-to pregame meal?
Chicken and rice, teriyaki sauce. That's it.
Ooh, okay. Good. I love
Yeah,
the sauce choice. Good choice. Something a little bit different. I like that. Favorite cheat meal or a treat that you like to indulge in?
probably just ice cream, strawberry ice cream, I would say.
Okay. Okay. Interesting.
Mhm.
Do you have any superstitions or pregame rituals?
I actually have, like, way too many, so maybe, when I go into the next chapter, then I'll lose some of them because, honestly, it became a little absurd, so, yeah. I can't
Okay.
even, like, explain all of them, honestly. A lot of the girls would be like, "You have so many," and I would say, "No, it's just my routine." But now, like, thinking back to it, I'm like, "That was crazy. Like, why did I do that?" Like,
You
I
just found a
wouldn't
way
have
to
played
justify
any
it.
differently.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love that.
Oh.
Okay. Go to pump up song.
It's actually not a good question for me because I don't get pumped up to music, to be honest. Like, I could listen to anything before the game, but if I had to, like, pick something, maybe, like, anything Rihanna or Beyoncé, I guess.
What's one thing that people don't know about you?
I hope this doesn't, like, come back to haunt me, but I am, like, terrified of spiders. Like, I can't even kill them. It's just I don't know, yeah, it's not good.
What's one word that your teammates would use to describe you?
Um, I don't know if I would agree with this, but a lot of people say that I'm pretty composed.
What's something that remains on your bucket list?
Well, there's so many, but, I wanna travel to all 7 continents.
Last one for you. What's a lesson you've learned through your hockey journey that you wish more young players knew?
There was a little bit of a period where I felt more pressure and more expectation, and I kind of forgot about why I was even playing hockey in the first place. And so I think, when you're young, it's easy because, playing hockey is fun and you don't have to worry about anything. But, as you get older and obviously you want to be successful and play at the highest levels, and I wanted that and I still do, but I think just reminding myself of it's still supposed to be fun in all those times where, maybe it is a little nerve-wracking. I think just not losing sight of the purpose of the game.
Spoken like a true leader. I love that answer. And that's a perfect way to wrap up the rapid fire question segment of the show, as well as this episode of Rinkside Rundown. A huge thank you to you, Kendall Cooper, for joining me and sharing your incredible journey from your early days in Burlington to captaining Team Canada and leaving a lasting legacy at Quinnipiac. Kendall, thank you so much for joining the show, sharing your incredible story again as a leader and as a player on the ice, away from the ice. It's been an absolute blast.
Thank you so much for having me and, taking the time to have this conversation. Really appreciate it.
Of course, and I always love a great conversation when it flies by. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your fellow hockey fans. Your support helps us to grow and bring you more inspiring stories just like Kendall's from around the world of women's hockey. I'm Chris Sinclair. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time on Rinkside Rundown.